What's happening, y'all? Oh, it's a good afternoon. um, we have a little bit of a Dragonlance hangout stream, and as promised, I was going to finish up a little bit on that encounter between Strahd and Raistlin. Okay, right now on the main Dragonlance channel, I don't want to really interfere too much. If any of y'all are following that, they're doing the Black Roses Bloom thing, so I'm not going to say too much about that side of that. What I've got written here, it doesn't really interfere with that. If anything, what goes on here takes place the heck away from what they got going on there. So, but anyways, it's part of that module. Okay, that was my point. All right. So, anyways, I got a special treat for you, and I'm gonna let this play. I'll recap for you if I need to, and I'll run it back some. But I wanted today to talk a little bit about adversity, building character. For every outstanding stat in the AD&D game, when you have a character, if you have an exceptional stat, you should always have an Achilles stat, one that, well, has to be overcome. You know, all monsters have it. You know, like say if something's got a immunity to something, it's got a weakness to something else. You know, it's balanced. So that's what that is. Adversity is part of life. You know, it builds character. That's with anything. You overcome it. If you think about it, you wouldn't invent anything if you didn't have a problem with something, would you? Exactly. What's the use of inventing something if you didn't have problems? There you go. Okay. All right. Necessity's the mother of invention. Is that what you say? I don't know. Sounds like a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, let's see here. What we're going to do here. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Hold on just a second. All right. And we should be ready to rock and roll here, guys. Hold on just a second. All right. And I'll have to pull this up here in just a second. Here we go. Right there. All right. Now, Raistlin just burned the crap out of Strahd. I hope it starts at this point. All right. Hold on.
Strahd. Yep, Tars looked at Raistlin. He's really mad now. Strahd made no motion this time to counter the Kenda's chattering as he leaned back onto his already massive throne, and now having grown twice his normal size, Tars certainly had to admire how his back had already started to sprout a new set of bat wings. Actually, they were bigger than wings, like giant large talons sprouting out his back, but he couldn't quite get his body to coalesce past the raw burnt meat stage, being his eventual vampiric powers of regeneration at work. Tars was out of holy water and he couldn't ask Strahd to spit in the vampire's eye. Her being a half-cleric, which would have been an exceptional idea because female Kendas sometimes can spit a watermelon seed, or anything the rate of a bullet. Aunt Magda ran a bunch of bandits off with a handful of sunflower seeds, allegedly. Tars didn't want to spit in Strahd's face because that would be rude, and he was a Kenda after all who prided himself on manners. A good throttling by Raistlin might have been enough to make him listen to reason maybe, but Tars doubted it. Old habits, especially after hundreds of years, are hard to break. No need to add insult to injury. It took all Tars could not to smirk and laugh at Strahd because he'd been so vicious and mean-talking when he appeared. A tap of Raistlin's staff, they go whirling around up in the air round the room for a few minutes, and now Strahd has to sit down for a minute. Dark Lord his Kenda ass, this Strahd was an overconceited bread loaf all stuffed full of, well, crap. Well met, Magia. Strahd huffed, obviously out of breath, but with the attitude of someone who had just finished a fencing match or a duel. In his past life he had dueled and killed true men in battles to the death many times in an arena or on the field of battle. Strahd sneered at Tars and snorted, down the side of his face that wasn't burnt, with the huge feral ogre nostril, into his hand and flung it at the Kenda. Shut up! Strahd huffed in the same breath and fixed his blaring red eye on Raistlin. The Kenda gleefully dodged the disgusting gesture, still grinning from ear to ear. Okay, Tars said. Don't mind me, you just talk it out with Raistlin. I'll just sit here and try this pipe that Uncle Trapspringer said. Halflings smoke, of course. I really never have smoked. Don't really want or need to. Tobacco stinks. Flint would chew plugs of it and tell me the sweet expensive cubed kind was chocolate. Oh, wrong it was. I threw up. I got him back because I peed in his ale well, not deliberately, I just went to go fill up the mugs, and just so happened to set his down slightly to the side on my way to the... Tars smirked and pulled out a pipe with a grin and stuck it in his mouth. He lit it and puffed like an inexperienced smoker who just got a hold of a bad cigar. 2 puffs in, Tars turned green, his eyes bugged out, and he coughed so hard he became red-faced and dropped the pipe, waving his hands and staggering around in a circle, retching. Hack! Wheeze! How does Fizban or any human find that even remotely relaxing, a hark? Oh, that is not good. No, name. Excuse me. Tars hacked and coughed so loud, it was echoing off the walls of the chamber as Raistlin and Strahd silently fumed at each other, perhaps not even paying attention to the Kenda's antics other than a respite from their inevitable fight to commence once the other took the notion to do so. The reader should be aware, just like a 5-year-old trying a pipe for the first time, Tars doesn't smoke. He never smoked. He's gonna cough, choke and puke, like a dope. Kenda are not hobbits * in that regard, they like alcohol, but pipeweed * on Kryn is unknown. Some Kendas may smoke, not Tars. He never did and probably never will after that, and I'm pretty sure it's just tobacco. I grow bored, Strahd sneered. Of this one's amusing but completely oblivious reaction to the impending death I bring you both, once I've made my point. Raistlin didn't bother to counter or interject with something witty. He found his silent smirk was enough to enrage Strahd all by itself, and so he continued to let Strahd pontificate and preach, for the moment. These foolish creatures. Strahd continued. Your savior, this Fizban. Oh yes, your Dark Queen told me of him. He will never come to save you from my realm unless I allow it. So many thousands of lives have squealed their last breaths to Paladine over eons, what seems to mortals hundred of years * when they succumb to my will to no avail. Your gods have no place here in my realm. I am the land. My Dark Queen cares not if I destroy you both, as it will indeed prove. I am the master of past and present, for I am immortal, not you. Fizban is going to... Tars recovered long enough to throw a pebble back at Strahd, who hissed in annoyance at the tiny speck the Kenda had snatched off the floor. You shut up about Fizban. Ogre face. Yeah, you look like an ogre now, like really stupid too. Fizban gave you the very phylacteries you carry to retain your souls, should you never return. Do you not understand, you foolish pathetic creature? He cared so much about you, he was willing to allow your friend Raistlin, once he had disposed of me, dispose of the both of you, so neither of you would be left within Barovia to be used by me. Once you had defeated me, Raistlin Magia, you envisioned yourself snuffing these little cretins like drowned broods of a bitch dog in a pond, watching them helplessly beg you as you ripped their lights from their souls and tucked them away, perhaps to bargain elsewhere. Raistlin? Suddenly a horrible reminder in Tasselhoff's brain about who Raistlin was, and why he joined the Dark Queen reminded him that Raistlin was still a black-robed wizard as evil as Strahd in some regards. Were you going to really kill me and Astrid like you did Ticklemop if we didn't make it back? Were you gonna goop us? Like that? I mean, we don't have any more of those things to hold another, do we? To prevent him from using your souls as yet another anchor into Kryn to draw more unsuspecting ones into his domain. Raistlin didn't hesitate. Yes, and given the circumstances, Tasselhoff barefoot, if Strahd does succeed in killing me and you by some chance are miraculously still alive, I'd have you do the same for me. We cannot die or remain on this plane. That much is certain if we wish to prevail. I don't need silly phylacteries to retain your souls here. Strahd bellowed. You will never leave my domain. Why would I worry about Azrael and Ticklemop being lost to me, when I have 2 more resilient fools in front of me? You have made my work that much easier. Strahd burst into evil guffawing. You filth. They are mine. How dare you? Holy moly. Whoops, sorry tack, ouch, stop, okay, I know you don't like holy words. As if on cue, the looming encroaching darkness crept into the chamber, followed by an immediate flash of purple light as the familiar form of Takis' avatar sneered into a mirror frame, and burst forth in a cloud to hover before them. Tars breathed an indescribable sigh as he'd witnessed seeing the Queen of Darkness before, but she wasn't usually a nice lady, and this time she was really angry. At Strahd or Raistlin he couldn't tell because Raistlin doubled over and immediately started coughing like he used to, and Tars had to look away for a second because Takesis made him really uncomfortable to look at. She was beautiful, but at the same time the contours of her face made his head hurt like if he stared at her eyes too much. It felt like she could flatten his head and all out like a piece of bread dough and then bake it and bite a hunk out of it. Tars couldn't think. He felt his knees buckle like something making him hold still, which for a Kender is torturing anyway. Like being pressed to the ground with a massive hand. Stop, let me up. Hey, that kind of hurts, ow. Tar's eyes swam and he tried to look up to see what was happening, but everything got really dark except for the flaring visage of Takesis screaming through a portal. Raistlin did not make an effort to light his staff as he was barely able to stand and not fall in the floor, his ailment which had plagued him as a magic user once before had suddenly manifested itself to render him helpless. The convulsions unable to make him do anything but viciously heave every time a word was spoken, like a knife. Strahd was not doing this. Strahd did not have the power to do this, the Queen, only the Queen, but why? He heard her speak in his mind. Silence, fool. He knows not of what he speaks. Raistlin felt himself begin to lose consciousness. He grasped his staff as he felt everything else give away around him. Strahd leered forward at the flaring visage, attempting to swat at it with his massive mutated arms flailing away. To no avail. He hit nothing and sneered in contempt. Bitch! This is my realm. It will always be my realm. How dare you allow this stunted husk to usurp me? How dare you allow Soft to slip away into madness? The nebula will consume your world as well as mine. We shall all perish within the oblivion of nothing. You are not my champion. Takesis sneered. Bitch, why should I be your champion? When I can be your master, perhaps your god. Strahd hissed and laughed again. A dark one came to me and told me what you fear to lose. Strahd laughed again. I once tricked a maiden with a kiss by tossing a gem in front of her. She grasped the gem and then... No. You lie. Yes, Strahd sneered again. You'll not follow both to stop me. No. Strahd, you filth. A mortal knows not of the plains as you, will regret and perhaps even forget. Go then, coward, the plains will restore what is mine. If you have it, use it. I found a cage, with a lock and a key. Where even gods cannot touch you. Not unlike my realm, it's a cage. But I will rule this cage. You will never rule or escape the cage in which I put you, Takesis. I will rule, and maybe then you will understand, such a coup in the blood war to be gained. Gar! You filth! You will not. The blood war will consume themselves, along with you. We shall see. Strahd looked toward Tasselhoff and Raistlin, now frozen in time. He raised his hand and tossed a single black blood-red ruby onto the stone floor. It clattered, spun, and then melted into a spot of blood. Large rifts of purple light melted what was left of the chamber floor into a glowing oblivion. Takesis screamed in rage as a massive vortex spun her image away in a cloud as a massive portal opened. The bodies of Tasselhoff barefoot and Raistlin Magia clutching his staff were dragged into the maelstrom in a brilliant flash of color and lightning. Takesis screamed louder as Strahd's booming laughter echoed off the walls of the chamber. The face of Takesis contorted into an anguished scream and then her eyes narrowed as the face dove into the maelstrom itself. The portal snapped shut, a deadening silence. Strahd exhaled a single breath through his jowls and satisfactorily yawned in a mocking contempt of what had just happened. Strahd was finally alone in his realm. Or was he? In that instant the form of Lord Soth materialized in front of him. Strahd sneered and rose to meet his opponent. The Death Knight made a salute with his sword and stepped forward to receive his challenge. The world exploded. In that instant the behemoth Strahd and Soth were now locked in a drawn-out battle. There would be no discernible victor as neither had the power to completely remove the other. Sword clashed against bone and sinew, blood and rage and fury knifing through the consuming darkness, magic flaring, and far below in the valley below Strahd's castle the Vistani themselves watched in horror, as in the sky the image constellation of the Queen of Darkness which shone so prominently had suddenly blazed as if on fire and winked out. Around them an encroaching cold suddenly began to permeate all, a deeper darkness, a strangling feeling of nothing but dread. Strahd and Soph continued to fight on.
What you think, y'all? That's some stuff? All right, let's see what we got here.